Hiya and welcome to Idiot with an Alfred socket set. I'm the idiot. There's the socket set. What we're doing today is we're going to be replacing the oil in a Volvo S60 D5. On this car, it's a lovely easy thing to do. It's that easy it doesn't actually need a video, but it's something people forget to do, so I just figured I'd do it. So, alright, just bear with us. Right, well before we do this, I've got my dad helping me, and he's just told me a little quick trick to actually check if the oil's still good in your car. Get a little bit of oil off your dipstick in between your fingers and then pull them apart, and you see how that oil's stretching a bit? That means that it's still good. That means the oil's still viscous. Basically what it is the long chains in the oil have not been minced up by the engine, because oil, it has a very, very sort of nasty working environment. So that's a tip where it gives you a hint just to see if your oil's okay before changing. In this one, the oil was still good, but we're changing it anyway because this engine has got a diesel particulate filter, and it's done a few regens, and some diesel fuel has got into the oil sump. It doesn't hurt it, but because of the mileage, we're just going to change it anyway, because, you know, it's better to change it too early than too late, really. Right, obviously, because we're going to be putting the front of the car in the air, just a little tip that's worth mentioning. We've put a couple of homemade chocks behind the rear wheels, just so that when the front of the car comes up, the back will roll back, regardless on if it has the handbrake on or not. It just helps secure the car in place. Now, also, once the car goes up in the air, don't just rely on a hydraulic jack, because the seals in them can fail, and I have known friends be underneath cars when the jack has failed and the car's come down on top of them. So use the jack to get it up in the air, and then use two axle stands underneath the car to hold it up in the air, just because, yeah, it takes a bit more time, but at the end of the day it's all about your safety. So if you're going to be working on car underneath the car, always use axle stands. Never just rely on a trolley jack. Right, okay, so we've got the drain nut out, and the oil's currently draining out slowly. This nut, just for reference, it's a 17mm nut, which is what the drain plug is, and the actual filter itself you can undo with a 36mm nut. This is a bit of a big bugger, but it does make life a lot easier on these cars if you get one of them. Alright, okay, so what we've done is we've drained the sump and put the sump plug back in. One thing that's always worth doing whenever you take the sump plug out is there's a little copper washer on it, which compresses against between the nut and the sump, and it's always worth making sure that that's replaced, so then that way you make sure you've got a good seal. Now what we need to do is we need to take out the oil filter and replace that. Now thankfully on this engine it's nice and easy. There's the top of the engine, the cylinder head and the injectors. There's your oil filter, and this is that oil filter that I was saying that you use the when the camera focuses. I don't want to focus on this for some strange reason, but this is a 36mm bit, and it literally just fits on that nut like so, and then all you do is just ratchet it off. So we'll stop the video and then we'll come back when it's off. Okay, so now we've loosened this off, we can literally just lift it out, and the oil filter element comes with it. So we'll just put that in a bag so we don't get oil all over the place. And that's the oil, that's the filter element, that's the filter housing, and this is the filter case. So all we do is you just put a new filter on that, replace the O-ring, and job's a good one. Alright, okay, so now we're just installing the new O-ring. It's very important when you change the oil to replace this, so it gives you a nice good seal all around it, and it's always worth checking it by hand to make sure it's sat in that little groove that it should be in, that little groove there. So then all you do is just slide the new oil filter on. It doesn't really matter which way it slides on, it's not keyed, like so. Give it a push and then just put it back in, and just give it a couple of turns by hand.
Put some oil in it first.
Oh yeah, actually, sorry, I tell a lie. What we'll do is we'll put a little bit of oil in the filter first, so it doesn't have to prime as hard. Then all you do is you just put the filter back in, and job's a good one. So we'll just do that now. Alright, so in the oil canister we'll just put a bit of oil in it now, just to help it prime, and now we're just screwing the oil filter back on. Sorry, not the oil filter, the oil case back on. You just do it hand tight, and then once it's hand tight you just nip it up using that big nut, that you know, the big this thing, and then it's basically just job done. And all you do is just fill the oil up. On this car, because it is a DPF equipped car, they always recommend filling it up to about, not filling it full, but fill it about 2/3. So then that way, when it does do a DPF regen, if diesel does get in the sump, it's not going to push it above maximum immediately. You've got a little bit of time before you need to worry about it actually going above its maximum oil limit.